Good morning. We are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and now YouTube as well. So let us know in the comments where you're watching us. It's been really cool to start getting us live on YouTube. It's been something that we've been trying to set up for a while, but I've been leaving that to people that are a lot more technically advanced than me. And apparently it was the most simple, straightforward thing in the world, but it was kind of like brain surgery. So well done for Victoria for sorting that one out. Anyway,
it wasn't me.
That's it. Brendan, mate, how are we doing? It's been a few weeks, mate. We've had a few different guests on. So yeah, do you want to give us an update on what's been happening in the world of Mr. Brennan Chapman?
I'm very well, thanks, Steve. Yeah, I have had a very busy few weeks. Managed to injure my ankle as well, so I've ruptured 2 ligaments in my left ankle.
Impressive.
Annoyingly, to be honest, it's an injury that I've done many times over the years, but I did it just in the most inconspicuous way, which was I was in London a couple of weeks ago, and I was looking up over my shoulder at some buildings, and just went over like a dropped brick in the street, and fortunately I didn't hit the deck. But I was close. I sort of ended up in a kind of like a deep split squat position, staggered into a doorway. I was like, no, nothing happened here. Nothing happened. And I've spent a couple of weeks sort of getting back to my former mobility and so on. So it's a lot better than it was now. It's just annoying. So that's the personal side of things. And then lots of really interesting things happening here at SCE. Obviously, you guys it was very graceful, Nikki. Yeah, you know me well. You guys watching me well have seen we've rebranded and we've got a new website now. So that is super exciting, and it's something that's kind of long overdue, but really cool, worth the wait. And yeah, do have a look at the SCE site, guys. Have a look at it. Let us know what you think. And there's still a few little bits to iron out, but you can see where we're coming from. And I think, Steve, good place to start as well here is the rebrand and really the message we're trying to get out is something that has been in place for many years, but it's very clear we are not simply an education company, because frankly, education is not enough on its own. You have to have a lot more than that. And that's a marketing campaign that we're going to be rolling out. And the message is you need more than just education. A little bit like S&C, where I wrote my book. It's not about sets and reps. It's not just about facts and figures. It's about all the other things that go into helping you to become a success, guys. So yeah, that's in a nutshell, Steve. That is my last few weeks, mate.
That right there is the evolution of Mr. Brennan Chapman. So 10, possibly 15 years ago, it would have been an ankle rupture from like evading a takedown in a cage, grappling, doing something really powerful, explosive, aggressive. Now, as he gets a bit more of a considered age, he pulls his ankle, looking at the architecture of a building in London. That there, guys, is well, I don't know if it's progression or regression. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what that is.
it's who have I become? And I do think it's one of those, when you start getting injured inconspicuously in that sort of way, you have to say, how old am I again? What's going on? That's a sign of the times, isn't it? When it's not a story that you even want to tell anymore.
Yeah. So, guys, before we get stuck into the title of this Elite Coach Live, I just want to give a massive shout out to one of our level 4 graduates and somebody who's a big part of our Elite Coach network. So he shared this last night, and it was just, this is why we do what we do. So let's get this up. So I'm not sure if you can read that really well, but I'll read it out from my second screen. So big Gleno Richard, massive shout out to him, doing some great stuff in his own studio. So I'd just like to say a big thanks to the Elite Coach Network Group and Strength and Condition Education. With what I've learned from you guys, I can now say that I'm in the position of turning away clients. My business has really rocketed just through word of mouth. I'm continually investing in my business, which has paid back greatly. I now have a great place to train people out of, and it's actually starting to look professional. My reviews have been positive, and it's really put petrol in my tank, so to speak. Once again, a massive thank you. And
Brilliant.
I just want to sort of congratulate Gleno on that, because it's not just about, oh, he's done the level 4, he's done our qualifications, and that's it. He's went out and he's been open-minded enough to take on the concepts, the learning, and he's actually had the courage to put it into practice. These are the key things there that we've got to sort of reiterate there, and it leads him really nicely. But I just want to share that and give a massive shout out, because you've got to give credit where credit's due. First and foremost, he embraced the knowledge, he's applied it, and now he's getting the results. And that's just absolutely fantastic to see. So a massive well done, Gleno, mate. And I'm looking forward to seeing the continued growth in the future, mate. So well done on that. So
yeah, that's it. Nothing happens without action, does it, Ste? And this is the point, really, is that it's not just about the education. It's not just about the facts and figures and the knowledge acquired, where that can be a catalyst and you can gain confidence from learning new things and filling in the blanks. Of course you can. You still don't get anywhere without the application of that and having the courage. That's a really, really, really important point there. The courage to just get it done and have a go and make some mistakes, and maybe you will go a step backwards to move 2 steps forwards. It's unlikely, but you will sometimes do that. So well done, mate. Well done, Gleno, and all the SCE team for helping to facilitate this as well. And you know, we get that a lot, Steve, don't we? We get those messages. We've got a WhatsApp group that we share internally, and you've got lots of messages always coming up that you share with the leadership team and so on and so forth. And it's brilliant to see, but really it reinforces that point of, you know, education plus mentoring plus accountability and coaching is success. It's not just education. It's not just you've got to have the formula there, haven't you?
Yeah, and I think the key thing is it is in that application. And Matthew McConaughey talked about it in his book Green Lights, which is a phenomenal book, by the way. I recommend anybody checking it out. It's such a great read. But he says give me a competent C over an ignorant A any day of the week. You know, and he's talking about the people that he says, I don't want somebody who knows absolutely everything, but is ignorant in how they're going to do it and how they're going to apply it. You might be the most knowledgeable person in the room. It doesn't necessarily mean you're further down the line. It just means you've acquired more knowledge. But give me somebody who is being brave enough and consistent enough and willing enough to actually apply what they've learned and be open-minded enough to go, I don't need to know everything. I just need to know enough that allows me to serve the people in my area and make a great impact. And that's what it's all about. It's about the application and the courage. I think those two go hand in hand. You know, we don't look at the outcome, you look at the process. So if you sat there thinking bitter that somebody like Gleno is absolutely thriving and succeeding, and you might be sat there with a master's and in S&C, or you've got this accreditation or that qualification, and you're bitter at, I should be doing that. Yeah, but you haven't done it. So it's not on Gleno, it's on the fact that he's highlighting the action that you have not taken. And people always come up, don't they? Oh, to get a job in pro sport, you have to have a degree and stuff like that. It doesn't mean anything. We use Pete Sim. Pete Sim, a fantastic practitioner. He's working in elite cricket now. He's been worked with the England team set up, was out in Australia. He had his degree, but he spent 2 years doing an unpaid internship at Newcastle Falcons before he got his break. He was willing to have the courage to say, no, this is what I want, and make it work. He didn't just sit there and say, right, I've got a degree, give me a job. Because that's what a lot of people do, right? We get, I've got this qualification, I've got this, I've got that. Things are going to start happening now. It is just not the case at all. So if you do not have the ability to apply what it is you're learning, and you don't have the courage to go out there and make it work, it doesn't matter what qualifications you've got, you will constantly fall on your backside, and you will be bitter that there's great trainers out there that are going out there and making it happen. And it's a simple fact. It's just highlighting the stuff that you're not doing in the first place, you know?
Yeah, well said.
You know, so I think that's kind of the key thing. And I think it is that sense of entitlement that comes alongside it that really sometimes frustrates me within the fitness industry at times. You know, everybody's kind of, right, okay, I need to have that. I'll have this. Well, I've got this, so I'm better than that. They're looking down on other trainers and other coaches coming into the industry. And it doesn't serve anyone that, you know. I think as a human beings, we should always be looking, and especially as coaches, our kind of whole role is built on serving others and helping others and giving people a leg up. You know, actually, some of the best coaches out there who have got the most successful athletes, and some of the most successful business coaches out there, haven't got the biggest businesses. Their clients have. But that's because they're serving them to get to where they want to be. Do you know? It's not about, right, I know more than you, so I'm instantly better than you. Because that is just completely false. Think of the industry we work in, the people that we work with. We've got to be really fluid. And if you are in a position where you're looking, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this, and you're waiting for things to happen, I'm sorry, but that train ain't coming. You know, you're going to be stood on that platform for a long time, and that train ain't coming. You've got to go out there and make it happen, right?
Yeah, no, that's it. And there's a couple of things that have sort of struck me while you've been talking there, Steve. And I think the first thing is our methodology at SCE reflects these considerations. And when we design our programs, be it the level 4, the ECM, and all other products, the youth pathway, and even before the level 4, when we used to run the mentoring and the level 3, you know, everything that we've done has been almost that consideration that Steve described is sort of built in that we have our 3 pillars. We have our 3 pillars approach, where technical development is actually only one of those 3 pillars. And as important as it is, you know, if one of the other 2 pillars isn't there, the whole thing falls down. And the other 2 are your personal development. So where do you want to go and why? And then the business and career development, which is how you're going to get there. What does those milestones look like? Be it getting your first job, opening your first gym, getting your first client. So we build that in, and it's absolutely integral, because actually you can't be an elite coach if you haven't got any clients, if you don't train anyone. You can be an elite textbook coach, but that's no different to watching a football match and commenting about the players performing, saying they're doing really well or they're doing shit. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really, really important to our methodology of, we are not just an education company. But the other analogy that struck me is the whole martial arts analogy. And when I first started doing martial arts, I was doing different types of martial arts. I actually did judo, but then I had a bit of a sabbatical and did more traditional martial arts, JKD, Bruce Lee, and all that kind of cool stuff. It's great. But you can get, you do get black belts in martial arts all over the world that, to be honest, couldn't have a fight to save their life, or certainly couldn't win a fight. And it's only when you start to practice what I would refer to as the alive martial arts, where there is actual sparring in there. And it doesn't mean you've got to get in the ring or cage and put your game on the line that way. But the fact is, every single session that you're in the dojo or the mat or whatever, you're putting something on the line. You're acquiring new skills. So martial arts like judo, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, Thai boxing, obviously MMA as well, and so many others that you can name. But there's also so many others that are not like that. And what you get then, when you embrace the grind of those martial arts, is you get a much different person that understands that every day they need to perform. And actually, you will take some losses as well as some victories. And what you get on the other side of that coin when you don't practice those types of martial arts is what I would call the black belt hunters, the qualification hunters in our case, whose CV might be absolutely incredible, but actually you put them on the mat with a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with 6 to 9 months of really good quality experience, and they'll literally submit these 10-year black belt hunters for fun. I kid you not. And it's the same in S&C and fitness. You get the qualification hunters, and all they want is the list of pieces of paper. They actually don't want to apply it. And that's the key word that you mentioned, Ste, entitlement. And we've got to be really careful. I call it not to fall in the entitlement trap that makes you bitter and resentful of people who haven't got on paper what you've got, but actually they are much more rounded and practiced as a coach. So here's the message. Here's my take home here. And please do comment with your thoughts, guys, because I really would love your feedback on this. Here's the message. The message is you're only as good as your last session as a coach. You've got to work to make those sessions engaging, exciting, enabling the Triple E methodology for your clients, for your groups, for your teams. And you're only ever as good as that last session. And I think the unfortunate thing about our sector is it does attract people sometimes that actually don't want to do that work. They don't want to look at 10,000 squats and deadlifts and cleans and so on and so forth. They just want to be able to say they've got it. And actually, you're not a great coach if that's the case. And I think for me, probably the same for you, Steve, the first multiple years of my career, 3, 4, 5 years, something like that, as an S&C coach, I literally just soaked up different body types doing the same exercises, different human beings that I need to talk to and learn how the cogs turn for those people. When you look at 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 squat repetitions with thousands of different body shapes, you get good at coaching squats. And I don't care if you don't have a piece of paper, frankly. I guarantee that person who's looked at those squat movements for so many years will be able to teach me something and you and everybody.
Yeah.
And in my early days of being an S&C coach, when I was trying to get into rugby, there was quite a few, they used to call them conditioners in rugby league, guys that literally had not got a qualification to their name. But let me tell you, they could whip a professional rugby league team into competition shape and do it with real quality. And they arguably, some of those guys had worked up from being the boot cleaner. They've been in that game for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, maybe, and doing a great job. Did they have a qualification to the name? Very doubtful. But what happened was those people kind of got pushed out of the industry because we fell into, you've got to get this piece of paper, you've got to get that piece of paper. And actually, the reality is those people should be teaching. They're the mentors. They're the people that mentored me in the early days, Ste, and I'm sure it was the same for you, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I think, and we're not saying every single qualification is bad, guys. It's completely, I hope people don't, first and foremost, not saying that. The qualifications give you the insight, give you the kind of the nuts and bolts as well. But what comes with every single set of IKEA furniture that you've got, it's instructions on how to put it together, right? Qualifications are the nuts and bolts. The coaching is how to put it together. But as you know, and we all know, anybody who's watching this, how you put something together is going to be completely different with every single individual. What works with one person doesn't work with another. I'm working with a primary school at the moment, and I look at some of their mechanics and I'm like, man, these children have got anger issues. That's a different set of instructions from when I'm working with my sprinters down at the track, right?
Yeah.
Completely different. I'm not even trying to think about, right, okay, let's try and raise the hips up a few degrees and stuff like that. My instructions of getting performance and getting great results, completely different. So qualifications are the nuts and bolts, but the instructions are from the coaching and putting it into practice and the application, because you soon find that one set of instruction does not cover everything. And anybody who's saying this one way works for absolutely everything, it just doesn't happen. Does not happen.
No. And the other thing is, the pieces of paper don't get you what you want in life. They don't get that gym open. They don't get you working with X sport team or certain populations that you want to work with. They don't build a social media following. You do, your personality does, and ultimately the action that you take dictates where you get to. So, it's absolutely one of the core 3 pillars in our methodology, the technical knowledge, which is underpinned by the courses that you do and the knowledge that you acquire. But it's only one of 3, and the other 2 will absolutely take you to where you want to go, and never lose sight of that. And I think that's the challenge, isn't it, Steve? That we see a lot of, like I say, qualification hunters that are falling into that entitlement trap. And don't be that guy or girl. It's that's the bottom line, isn't it?
Yeah, it's active procrastination. You're giving yourself an out by not doing what it is you really want. It's like, oh, I'll open my gym. I'm going to uni to get my degree now, or whatever it may be. I'll open my gym when I'm finished. Well, you're spending time doing something that you don't really want, but you're giving yourself an out. It's an excuse. Oh, I'm going to do this course because I need to know more about that. Do you really? Does 40-year-old Barbara from the local hairdressers care that you know the ins and outs and the intricacies of this, and this, and this?
Yeah.
That it's just active procrastination. You're giving yourself an out, and it's a time to wake up and sort of say, no, I've got to do what I need to do here to make it, to get to where you want to be. And that is a scary thing, because we're conditioned to sort of think that you can't do that. No way. We put all these barriers, but then you give yourself the out of, I've got to do this qualification, I've got to do that. Not the case at all. Courage, consistency, application of what you already know, and actually looking yourself in the whites of your eyes every single day and say, I'm doing the right thing here.
Yeah, we've talked a bit about courses and qualifications and where they fit in, and I'll just be honest, like you'll never stop doing courses and acquiring knowledge. I have no doubt, but the game here is to almost have a little radar chart with all the different facets of what you need to be successful, which is, underpinned by those 3 pillars, but the constituent parts within those 3 pillars, and say, where am I looking to go? What is important now? And sometimes, very often, you don't know what's important now until you're doing something and you realize, okay, I've got a little bit of a blind spot here. I need to fill that gap, so to speak. And we use this phrase, backfilling your education, backfilling your learning. You don't know all the time until you're in a place where you're thinking, I'm in the dark here, I need some answers. I've had the courage, I've demonstrated the courage, and I've realized, okay, I need to just fill that gap a little bit. So it could be something like pediatric strength and conditioning. You've put yourself out there, you've gone into the tennis club, then they've said, yeah, great, come down next Thursday and do a warm-up for our under 10s. Maybe you've got great knowledge at general S&C. You need to then backfill and think, right, what's a great warm-up for young kids? Get some knowledge on that and acquire it quickly. That's a micro example of that, of how that works. And that will never, ever stop.
No.
We got a fundamentals course student here. Andrew, good morning to you, my friend. Let us know what you think of the course. We made a few tweaks to it, didn't we, Steve, recently? So
yeah, it's good.
It's a good program.
Defo. And Andrew, what I would say, mate, any questions you've got, reach out in the Elite Coach network group as well. I'll put the link on screen for you, mate. It'd be great to see your learnings and sharing that with inside of the Elite Coach network as well. So
yeah,
real nice one there. I like that one.
Absolutely. Remember, confidence is built on evidence. The evidence that you cannot fake it. You cannot fake it. And qualifications alone do not generally fill that. They might give you knowledge, and you can get confidence from knowledge, but true confidence is the application of knowledge, the evidence that you are doing it.
Yeah.
And Nikki, you're right. But the key thing I think here is everybody has imposter syndrome in some format. Everyone. Whenever you're leveling up, every single person has that. And I always remember Dan Inosanto, who was Bruce Lee's #1 student, when Rick Young, who was probably one of the top UK martial artists, went over to train with Dan. He trained with him very, very regularly. He's one of his top students. Rick his career was taking off. He was in all of the magazines. He was at black belt or nearly in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, won multiple comps. And he said to Dan, I'm starting to feel more and more out of my depth. What's your thoughts on that, Dan? And he said, every single day you should feel out your depth. And so it is all of us, Nikki, absolutely. But if you factor that in, you build it in, then, don't you? You build that into your planning to know that you're going to experience these feelings, but you've got to push on and get the learnings and become a better version of you off the back of that.
Yeah, I always challenge that one. I always challenge imposter syndrome. I always do, because everybody, you've got to look inward, and you've got to, whenever you get that, for me, it's a sign that you've got to start highlighting working on yourself. You've got to work on the personal pillar, because if you've got feelings that you're not good enough in the industry or you don't know enough, then you're not looking at how much success that you've had. If you regularly look at the successes that you have with your clients and put a plan in place to level up, there's never going to be a reason to say, I'm not going to know enough, or I'm going to feel anxious because of this. Because remember, that's just a feeling. You dictate how you feel. So when you say, I've got imposter syndrome, well, you haven't looked at the wins that you've had previously. And then you haven't forged it, you haven't mapped out the path properly to get you to where you want to be. So imposter syndrome is a feeling, and we've got to switch that, and we've got to change how we feel. We choose and we dictate how we feel. I always challenge the imposter syndrome, and it is something there, but it means put some more effort and time and shine a light on the personal aspect of the three pillars. Okay, so if we look on the personal, if you're getting results time and time again, and your clients are saying great, why should you feel like an imposter? You're delivering, you're doing what you said you would. So there's no reason to feel like that. Do you know? So spend some time looking at your wins weekly, daily. If you're getting into a position where you're like, oh, I'm learning more, I don't know enough, guess what? You will never know it all. Once you crack open something, right, I've learned about periodization, 10 different types of periodization models fall out the arse of it. Or I've got to learn about complex training or contrast training. Another 3 or 4 things fall out the back of it, you know? So you're never going to know that. So it's about shining a light on that personal pillar. So just like to challenge that. But guys,
I think that's a good point. I think it's a good point. And my thoughts would be that it never stops. If you want good things and great things to happen for yourself, it never stops. You know, we've got Andrew Phillips on the line doing our fundamentals course, perhaps at the very, very start of his coaching journey. And we had our international coach of the year, Duncan French, who is he's vice president of performance for the UFC. And prior to that, Duncan was at Notre Dame, he was at Newcastle United Football Club, you know, and so on and so forth. And I don't want to speak for Duncan here, but I guarantee pretty much that every single time he moved on, he gained confidence from the evidence of the last endeavor, the last chapter, but he was stepping into an unknown. He backed himself, but I guarantee there was an element of fear there for stepping into that unknown, because it's basic human psychology, and we need to learn how to game the system for that. But here's the other thing. I'll share something for this week, actually, for me, that ties in with this, is the people you surround yourself with are absolutely critical with your self-management and psychology along your journey. And I think it's the beautiful thing that has happened with SCE and our Elite Coach Network is we have a fantastic community, and everybody's trying to move on, whether you are thinking about starting our fundamentals course, whether you've done our ECM, whether you're Wayne Lakin, who's just brought athletes back with medals from the Olympics and has his own gym, or whether you're Duncan French at the very highest levels of human performance. It doesn't matter. There are people on the pathway for you to gain strength and confidence and comfort from. And the point is, this week I was on a mastermind call, Steve, and I joined a new mastermind group. And I haven't been in one for a while, but they are really, really valuable. And it's really interesting. There's some great people on it. I actually felt, I wouldn't say anxious, but a little bit like, okay, this is a good level. This is really, really good. And the guy that was leading the mastermind group was sharing his 20-year vision for himself. And he said he'd come up with this vision 6 or 7 years ago. So he's sort of 6 or 7 years into this vision, and it was basically to take him to his 60th birthday. And for his 60th birthday, or in and around that time, he wants to buy an American sports franchise, not the New York Jets, another New York franchise, the New York Mets, I think it is, because he's from New York. And he was looking at it thinking, you know, that's going to cost me $3 billion now to do that. So in 20 years or 15 years, it could be 5, it could be 6, you know, so on and so forth. But he was saying, look, I'm not going to save up $3 billion. Who do I need to become to unlock the ability to get that deal done, to build a consortium, to get partners in at that level who will have confidence in me. Who do I need to become to do that? And just to give you an insight, this guy is somebody who's done 25 to 30 business exits successfully over the last 15 years. So he's sort of working his way up in that way. And the key message is reverse engineering, isn't it? It's where you want to be, but it's also critically for today, tomorrow, and next month, having people around you that support that genuinely support your success and will pat you on the back when you've had a crap day and will kick you up the arse when you need it, basically. Yeah. And that's a real important facet of success. We talk about the 3 pillars: technical, personal, and then business. All of those 3, the circle is joined when you put community into that. And so if you're watching this and you're on your journey, and you might be feeling a bit lonely out there, maybe you haven't got people to support you in that way, I absolutely say join our Elite Coach Network, or just make sure you give few people a call and bring them back in to your network at the very least. Over to you, Steve, because I know you're chairing that group. You do a fantastic job. So give people a snapshot on that one.
Yeah, so just an insight. So the Elite Coach Network was set up because we wanted to harness and bring every single student, regardless of where they are in that journey, bring them all together into one place, but also just help people grow and constantly develop. So we've got weekly training talks in there where I do Q&As around all things training. So this week we were chatting about French contrast training and contrast training. The week before, we were talking about the differences between straight bar deadlift and trap bar deadlift, some of the nuances stuff, that technical aspect in there. But also it's a place where people can share questions about, how do I grow my business? How do I work on this? How do I improve that? And really just grow together. Sometimes you look at it and you go, I haven't seen this person for a while. And then like Glenn just pops up with, I'm absolutely killing it, guys. And you're like, this is amazing. So it is just a fantastic community of like-minded coaches. I make sure that it's an environment where people can just share and grow together. And there's no this, you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way. It's a really cool place to go. And it will just give you loads and loads of ideas of how you can constantly sharpen the soul and become the coach that you want to become. Because that's what we're all about at SCE. It's not, we'll give you the nuts and bolts, the technical stuff and everything else as well, but we're going to challenge you in you becoming the coach that you want to become. It's not a do this and you become a great coach at this. It's no, here's the information, here's the nuts and bolts, but what do you want to become? Who do you want to serve? How do you want to serve them? Fantastic. Let's build it together. And the Elite Coach Network is one place to do that. So if you want to get surrounded by like-minded people, then click the link, guys. You'll get a 2-month free trial on the back of that anyway. So just jump in and you'll be able to access a whole host of resources in there as well, guys. But guys, as always, if you've got any questions, you might not even agree with what myself and Brendan have just said, feel free to challenge us in the comment section. If you've got any questions, if you've got absolutely anything at all, you want to learn from anything, just reach out. Do you know what I mean? So that's absolutely awesome. I love that comment there. And that's what it's all about. That is what it's all about. And do you know why we do what we do? Because we've been there constant. We are in your shoes on a regular basis. Brendan talked about with his mastermind. I go through it with my gym and my coaching and my athletes that I work with. So I totally get times when you don't feel like you know enough of what you're doing and everything else like that as well. So we are here to serve you guys, because seeing great coaches not know enough is just not what we're all about. We want to make sure that coaches get the credit that they deserve. So Adam, keep making it happen. One of our students of the year as well. Absolute legend of a bloke. Hopefully your training and coaching is going well. But until next time, guys, have a great one. And we shall catch up again very, very soon. Brendan, have a great weekend, mate. And yeah,
you.
all the best.
You too. Bye, everyone. Lots of love.